Google Ads for real estate investors. How do you do it? How do you not overspend on your daily, monthly budget and actually get a reasonable cost per conversion so you can generate wholesale deals, flip deals, or buy deeply discounted rental property? So in this video, I am going to give you the overview. I'm going to build out a campaign in real time with you, targeting all of Wisconsin, and show you how we run our Google Ads campaigns and how you can duplicate the process to have similar results and ultimately get more wholesale deals under contract. So depending upon if your Google account is new or old will depend upon what your dashboard actually looks like. So this is the brand new dashboard that Google utilizes, which is fine, but I prefer the old model. So you would come up here and click switch view, and then you can see, so from February 11th to the 14th, we've spent $566, 37 clicks, for an average cost per click of $15.29, which is fairly reasonable. We got 0 conversions, so obviously that isn't great, but it is what it is. There you can see some of our campaigns and some of the keywords that we're running, but we are, for the purposes of this video, starting a brand new campaign. So you're going into the campaigns tab and you are going to click this plus sign, and then we're going to do new campaign. And with real estate investing, what we're doing is trying to generate leads. We're not trying to generate sales, website traffic, product or brand consideration. We're trying to generate leads and lead flow to the site. Because we have other campaigns running, our setup right here is going to look a little bit different than yours. These are conversion goals that we shoot for on our site. So obviously contacts being added, so on and so forth, phone calls from Google Ads, or people who click from our Google Ads to our site that then call us, so that's tracked. Submitting lead forms, and then other lead forms being submit throughout the site. So we are just going to hit continue here. And then what we are going to do is do search only campaigns. And after we click search, we are just going to click continue. You don't need to select anything there. And we're going to just create a new campaign. So let's type in Wisconsin. Let's type in Wisconsin. And what we're going to do, because of the amount of volume that's going to come from the Wisconsin campaign alone, if you're in a smaller area, you don't necessarily have to worry about this as much, but the search network and display network, both of these are part of Google's ad system. However, what I want you to do is read a little bit of this information. So referring to the display network, you can go into the question mark area. You'll get incremental conversions on display at similar or lower costs than search, which might be valid. However, what we're doing as real estate investors, I would deselect both of these if you're in a very large metropolitan area, such as like in Atlanta or Milwaukee or New York City or something like that, or Tampa Bay or Phoenix or something along those lines. In the search network, where you don't want to get confused here is we're going to show up on search results. The search network might pull in other information. Ads can appear near Google search results and other Google sites where people search for other information. We're going to go to show more settings. We'll leave this the same. Start date is today. Campaign URL options, we're not really going to change anything there. I do not want to have any dynamic search ads. We're not going to put anything there. An ad schedule. And for ad schedule, what I would personally recommend is doing something based upon when you are actually open or when you're able to respond to these leads immediately. You can do it on business hours, but generally speaking, what I would typically do is I want leads to come in, and it depends on the amount of budget that you have. But if you have leads coming in, so you can do that, or you can do whatever works for you, and I'll do all days because I don't mind taking calls on weekends. What we are going to do here is go to the advanced search. Again, you can niche down by your specific area, but we are going to target Wisconsin and keep it very broad. We'll save it. And the one thing that I want to put out here is that when you look and see that other investors or other people are running campaigns and you're wondering, or why is their cost per click so low or cost per conversion so much lower than mine? If they are running nationwide, they will get conversions for much cheaper than you or I can get them. Whereas if I went in here, and then let me go into the advanced search again, and if I just focused on the city of Oshkosh or Appleton or Green Bay or Manitowoc or whatever it would be, my cost per click and cost per conversion would be much higher because I am segmenting down to that tiny little niche area. So it's just something to think about in your mind. If you don't have the ability to do deals across the state or in a very large area, then niche it down, but you will pay more in advertising and pay more in click cost for this. So we'll keep that as Wisconsin. We are going to do people, the second one. We don't want to do this first one. That's kind of obsolete. And then if you wanted to exclude anyone, and if you excluded it on your map, you can do that as there. English, we're not going to segment down anything in the audience, so don't worry about that. And then I am willing to spend up to $100 a day. Okay, so with the $100 per day, what we're trying to accomplish here is getting multiple clicks per day so we can get the first conversion quicker. Now, if you have a lesser budget, it is totally fine, but I would recommend at least having $30 to $40 a day, or a total of $1,000 per month. And also remember, Google might overspend your budget. So $100 per day is what we're going to spend. Conversions, we are not going to select any of these. What we actually are going to do is you can deselect that if you want. It doesn't really matter, but we are going to go down to the not recommended, and we are doing manual CPC. And you might be thinking, Carter, why are you doing that? Why don't you click like the maximize clicks, or we'll go back to this one. We could do like a conversion, maximize conversion, something like that. And because if you do not have any sort of data established within your account, Google will overspend your money. Chances are they have nothing in their algorithm showing, at least in your specific account, what you're trying to accomplish. So what we do as Google advertisers, we want to do the manual approach to it, which is what we're doing here when we go to manual CPC. And you can have the enhanced cost per click option if you want, or again, if you're in a busy area, you might not want that. But what I'll do is I'm going to deselect that. So manual CPC bidding, and then ad rotation, you can prefer best performing, which is totally fine. Now, what are Sitelink extensions? You can see here that I have a bunch of different phrases in here, information that people might be wondering. Now, my recommendation with Sitelink extensions is try not to have too much information in there, because what might happen is, like generally speaking, what Google states is the more space you take up on that first page in that first spot, the higher likelihood is that you're gonna have a higher click-through rate, which means people see your ad and they click on it to go to your website. However, if you have information that says like about the owners and it drives it to a landing page that doesn't have a lead capture form, that's just basic information on you or I, or past client testimonials or that sort of information, chances are the lead is not going to convert. So what we have and what we've changed to is having only one Sitelink extension. We are going to drive it to a landing page that says get your cash offer today, and I can actually show you the link. So get your cash offer today has the form right here. Fairly simple. It's a short page with just a little bit of information on us, some testimonials, and that will be our only Sitelink extension. And you can see here, it would show up underneath. Whereas if you have the about section or the testimonials, people might click there. And then if we go to our website, for example, you might see all these testimonials, but then there's no form to fill out. Like, where is the lead capture information besides this small section right here? There's no lead capture information on those. So just be wary of this when you're putting together your campaign. Now, call out extensions. All of these extensions, you can go to Google and search and learn more about them and why they should be used in your site. But with call out extensions, it's basically just another part of your description on your ads. So when I go here, some of these are for real estate agent campaigns, some are for our investment ones, but we could do like family owned and operated. We buy in any condition, we pay all closing costs, cash offer in 24 hours, no realtors or commissions, and we can just do all these. And I'll just hit preview. So you can see here is the description of what would be placed, and then this is all the call out extensions right below it, which is fairly simple and self-explanatory. And then call extensions, this should just be your vanity tracking number for your Google Ads account. I would recommend going through like CallRail or something, or maybe even Google Voice if you don't have a CallRail account. But make sure your call extension is set up properly so it can track calls coming from your ads, but also calls that happen after someone clicks on your ads and calls from your website. And then add extension, we are not going to add anything else. So we're going to hit save and continue. So in the Google Ads system, there's a hierarchy of campaigns, ad groups, and then keywords at the very end. So each campaign could have 30, 40, 50 different ad groups, or it could have 1, 2, or 3. It depends on the system that you want to run. And if you're running single keyword ad groups, which I wouldn't recommend, but you can do it however you want, or listen to your Google Ads manager if you decide to go that route. But what I'm going to do is just we buy houses, and I'm going to possibly fast forward a little bit in this section. So just stick with me if you can. The default cost per click, we're going to start off at I'm going to say $20, which is pretty reasonable, is what we are willing to pay. Now, if you're struggling to come up with keyword ideas, you could paste in your website URL there. I wouldn't really recommend that. What I would instead do is just think of keywords that relate to We Buy Houses. And you can even go onto Google and then type in We Buy Houses and see what shows up at the bottom. So We Buy Houses reviews, We Buy Houses near me, We Buy Houses ripoff. Which ones do you want to show up for? We Buy Houses phone number, and you can go and type those in here. So we can do We Buy Houses, We Buy Ugly Houses, and that might be trademarked, the We Buy Ugly Houses brand, We Buy Houses reviews. And you can just come up with a list of keywords that fit what you are trying to do on the Google Ads network, because this is what these are the phrases, or these are the match types that will show your advertisements. And one thing I want to point out is this information at the bottom. Now, what you want to do is to learn more about these match types. You can click here, but giving you a broad overview. So if someone types in We Buy Houses and it's broad match, it doesn't have any of the quotation marks and it doesn't have the brackets, so it would be featured as a broad match keyword. It means that if anyone types in something somewhat relevant to your search, they are going to show your advertisement, which could be very, very costly. And I would not recommend doing broad match to start if you don't have a huge negative keyword list, which I'm not going to get into in this video. You can go to my website and then learn more about that and join the free Google Ads Masterclass, which I believe is at cartercrowley.com. You can do that, but what I would then do if you're wanting to show up for only searches that are We Buy Houses, which again is going to be more costly because it's more targeted, you can type in something that would look like that, or We Buy Houses. And Google will tell you not to be repetitive with your keywords, so try and have them be different. Don't have like 3 keywords that all say We Buy Houses, because only one of those will typically show your ads. But I'm going to delete those. And like I said, definitely research the match types, because you will spend a boatload of money if you do not have the proper match types in here. And that's the last thing that I want you to do. So we're just going to do one ad group for this example. Generally speaking, I would do 2 or 3 or 4 and just encapsulate all the other keywords that might show up under the motivated seller category. So we'll go to save and continue. Now with the final URL, what you're going to do is, if you have a tracking URL, place it in there right now. I have one specifically from the Carrot site. You're able to create campaign links so you can track things properly. So I am going to paste that in there. And then headlines. What is a headline? And generally speaking, with Google's new platform, these are called responsive advertisements. So with the responsive ads, Google will select whichever headlines that you put, and they'll mix and match them together unless you do what's called pinning them, which you can see right here, and you can look for more information on that. But what you might want to do is, obviously if someone's searching for We Buy Houses phone number, you might want to have an ads saying We Buy Houses locally. So we could have a list of headlines that look something like this, or you can go to more ideas. What Google's telling you to do here is trying to include more of your keywords in the headlines, which is totally fine if you choose to do that. It doesn't necessarily matter, but if you again need additional headlines, you can go look at these for call to action phrases, location phrases. Let's see if any of these are actually good. You could do like get a quote today if you wanted to. And then we go into description. So you just want to write a little bit about what you're doing. So We Buy Houses throughout Wisconsin. We are local and can meet today. Contact us now. And now you have a couple ideas, and you can see here that in the preview it just mixes and matches things. If you wanted one of these headlines to show up first all the time, you could hit pin and then show in the first position, and you can pin multiple in the first position and then it would just rotate between those. You can pin multiple in the second, or show in any unpinned position is recommended, of course, by Google. So maybe you just leave it the way it is. Then we're going to click done, and that would be one responsive ad. You can add more if you would like. I'm just going to breeze through this really quick. So we're going to hit save and continue. And then what we will do is we will click publish. And now that your campaign's up and running, you're probably thinking, Carter, what do I do next? If you watch my video right here, I go over the in-depth, in detail, what you need to do to have a successful Google Ads campaign that gets you consistent results. And if you want more information or access to my 30-day masterclass, go to cartercrowley.com, but click and watch this video first.